Something about you has shifted. You feel it in the pauses between conversations, in the way people study your face a second longer than before. When you speak, the room doesn't erupt, it settles. Words land differently now, heavier, measured, considered. Even compliments feel cautious, like they're trying to understand what changed without asking directly. You didn't announce anything. You didn't reintroduce yourself, yet the atmosphere around you is different. Quieter, more alert. It's subtle but undeniable. They can feel something changing. It's in the way they listen when you explain something, in the way they hesitate before disagreeing, in the way admiration carries a trace of curiosity, almost concern. Not because you've become louder, but because you've become harder to read. And that uncertainty creates gravity. You're not performing strength. You're not demanding respect. But something in your posture, your restraint, your tone signals depth. A shift from reaction to control. From noise to precision. You may not fully understand it yet, but they do. And whether they admit it or not, they're adjusting to the new version of you. You didn't post a declaration. You didn't gather an audience and explain how you were changing. There was no dramatic reinvention, no loud announcement that you had evolved. One day, you simply started moving differently. You stopped arguing just to be understood. You let people keep their assumptions. You stopped over-explaining your intentions to those committed to misunderstanding you. Where you once defended every angle, you now conserve your energy. Silence became your filter. You also stopped chasing validation. The subtle need to be acknowledged, approved, applauded, it began to dissolve. Not because you stopped caring, but because you started seeing clearly. Approval is unstable. Discipline is not. That's when the shift began. Most people talk about growth. They rehearse it. They announce it. They romanticize it. But when growth demands discomfort, isolation, and restraint, most people go back. You didn't. You stayed when it was inconvenient. You stayed when no one was clapping. You stayed when your old habits tried to negotiate a return. And that quiet consistency built something solid. Now your responses are measured. Your reactions are delayed. Your decisions feel intentional. You don't rush to prove your intelligence, your strength, or your worth. You let your patterns speak. That restraint carries weight. People sense discipline before they understand it. They recognize when someone has moved from impulse to control, from noise to intention. And even if they can't articulate it, they respect it. Your growth wasn't loud, it was practiced. And now the awareness of change deepens into something stronger, recognition. This version of you didn't appear out of nowhere. It was built slowly, painfully, through moments most people never saw. You remember what it felt like to be underestimated, to have your intentions questioned, to give loyalty and receive distance. Betrayal didn't always arrive dramatically. Sometimes it was subtle, a shift in tone, a broken promise, a realization that someone you trusted never truly understood you. There were nights you replayed conversations in your head, analyzing every word. Nights where silence felt heavier than noise. Moments when you almost folded just to keep the peace. You considered shrinking yourself to stay accepted, softening your standards, lowering your expectations, because the world rewards performance. It rewards charm over depth, volume over clarity, and for a while that confused you. Part of you wanted to stay naive, to believe effort alone guaranteed loyalty, to assume people carried the same depth you did. That version of you craved simplicity. It wanted harmony without confrontation. But another part of you chose awareness. Awareness hurt. It meant seeing patterns you once ignored. It meant admitting that not everyone deserved access to your vulnerability. It meant accepting that misunderstanding is sometimes the price of growth. Every disappointment sharpened your perception. You began noticing inconsistencies faster. You listened to tone instead of words. You watched actions instead of promises. Every rejection reduced your dependency. The need to be chosen weakened. You started choosing yourself instead. And somewhere in that internal war, between innocence and insight, you hardened, but not in a bitter way. You refined. You learned to observe before reacting, to pause before responding, to feel without immediately expressing. Emotional control stopped being suppression and became strategy. This isn't your final form. There is still expansion ahead, still refinement, still deeper layers of discipline and understanding. But this grounded, measured, self-aware version of you is your forged foundation, built from pressure, built from isolation, built from lessons you didn't ask for, but mastered anyway. The admiration isn't random. It isn't luck. It's behavioral. You don't panic easily. When something goes wrong, you don't spiral in public. You assess. You pause. While others rush to react, you regulate. That stability feels rare in a world addicted to urgency. You listen more than you speak. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you're observing. You study tone. You notice contradictions. You let people reveal themselves fully before you respond. That level of attention makes people feel seen and slightly unsettled. You don't need to dominate the room. You don't interrupt to assert intelligence. You don't force laughter or attention. Your presence is contained, measured, and because you aren't chasing the spotlight, it naturally shifts toward you. You carry controlled emotion. You feel deeply, but you don't leak impulsively. Your expressions are intentional. Your reactions are filtered. That composure reads as strength. They can feel something changing. But admiration is complicated. Sometimes it's inspiration. People see your discipline and feel motivated to elevate themselves. Sometimes it's intimidation. Your restraint highlights their reactivity. Your consistency exposes their inconsistency. And sometimes admiration feels like exposure. Because when you see patterns clearly, people sense it. They recognize that you're not easily manipulated, not easily impressed, not easily distracted. Your awareness reflects their habits back to them without you saying a word. That reflection can create distance. Admiration doesn't always mean alignment. Some will praise you and still resist you. Some will compliment your growth while secretly hoping you soften. Growth rearranges dynamics. It changes who feels comfortable around you. And now, as you become more aware of how you're perceived, the contrast begins to sharpen. You're not just evolving internally, you're separating externally. The difference didn't happen overnight. It wasn't a dramatic disagreement. It was gradual, subtle. A quiet divergence in priority. They seek comfort, you seek clarity. When something feels uncomfortable, their instinct is to escape it. Distract, scroll, vent, blame. When something feels uncomfortable to you, you lean closer, you ask why. You dissect it. You trace it back to its source. They avoid discomfort. You study it. That alone changes a person. They perform confidence in public. Curated words, rehearsed certainty, carefully maintained images. You built yours in private, in moments where no one was watching, in decisions that required discipline instead of applause, in restraint that cost you temporary validation. While others numbed themselves with noise, you sat in silence long enough to hear your own patterns. While they blamed circumstances, you analyzed your reactions. You asked harder questions. You admitted uncomfortable truths. That's where the divergence widened. It's not about superiority. It's about depth. You're operating from somewhere deeper now. Your decisions are filtered through reflection, not impulse. Your trust is earned through observation, not charm. Your standards are shaped by experience, not trends. Most people start the transformation. Few finish it, because transformation becomes lonely when it gets real. When it requires cutting off habits, distancing from dynamics, outgrowing environments. Most retreat when it stops being exciting and starts demanding sacrifice. You didn't. You stayed through the awkward phase, the misunderstood phase, the isolated phase. You tolerated being seen as different instead of diluting yourself for comfort. And that's the separation point. Not everyone who begins evolving continues when the cost rises. Not everyone who talks about growth withstands the pressure of it. But you did. And now the tension is subtle but undeniable. Conversations feel slightly misaligned. Interests shift. Tolerances shrink. The space between you and certain people expands. Not out of conflict, but out of contrast. You didn't become louder. You became deeper. And depth changes everything. No one applauded the hardest battles you fought. There was no audience when you chose silence over reaction. No recognition when you typed a response and deleted it. No reward when you let someone underestimate you instead of correcting them. But those were victories. You chose long-term strategy over short-term validation. You resisted the urge to prove yourself in moments designed to provoke you. When your ego wanted revenge, you walked away. When pride demanded the last word, you let the conversation end unfinished. That restraint reshaped you. Controlling impulses is not weakness, it's refinement. Anyone can react. Anyone can raise their voice, defend their position, demand to be seen. But to pause, to feel the surge of emotion and still decide your response, that requires internal authority. Real strength isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need witnesses. It's measured, slow, intentional. You learn to sit with discomfort without exploding or escaping. When anger rose, you examined it. When jealousy surfaced, you traced it. When disappointment hit, you absorbed it without turning it into drama. That is power. Emotional regulation became your advantage. While others exposed their triggers, you studied yours. While they reacted instinctively, you responded strategically. You stopped being predictable. And something shifted in your identity. You stopped needing to be understood by everyone. The urgency to explain yourself softened. You realized that clarity within matters more than approval outside. Misinterpretation no longer felt fatal. Instead of demanding recognition, you focused on understanding yourself. Your patterns, your fears, your ambitions, your limits. That self-awareness created stability. And stability is magnetic. That's when admiration began quietly. Not because you tried to impress anyone, but because your composure became visible. Your consistency became noticeable. Your emotional control became undeniable. You no longer chase dominance. You embody control. And as clarity matures into power, you realize something important. The war was never against them. It was within you, and you won. As your power stabilized, something else changed. Accessibility. Not everyone gets this version of you anymore. You became selective with your energy, selective with your time, selective with your vulnerability. Conversations that once drained you now end sooner. Invitations that once felt obligatory are now evaluated. You no longer say yes out of guilt or fear of missing out. This version of you is harder to access, not because you're cold, not because you think you're above anyone, but because you're intentional. You understand that access is influence, and influence in the wrong hands becomes distraction. Boundaries stopped feeling defensive. They started feeling like self-respect. You don't over-explain them. You don't dramatize them. You simply enforce them through behavior. If something violates your standards, you adjust your availability. You no longer overextend to prove your worth. You don't overgive to secure loyalty. You don't overshare to accelerate connection. You allow trust to build slowly or not at all. That patience creates mystery, but the mystery isn't manipulation. It's containment. You've learned that not every thought needs to be spoken. Not every plan needs to be revealed. Not every emotion needs immediate expression. Emotional control has refined you. You can feel deeply without exposing everything. You can care without collapsing your boundaries. You can support without sacrificing your center. And people notice. Some interpret it as distance. Others interpret it as strength. Both are partially right. You are more distant from chaos, closer to yourself. Power without restraint becomes arrogance. But a power with restraint becomes presence. You've chosen presence. Now your energy feels deliberate. Your silence feels intentional. Your openness feels earned. And because this version of you is no longer easily available, it becomes more valued. Access is no longer automatic. It is deserved. Strength changes how people approach you. It draws attention, not just admiration, but projection. When you become stable, composed, and self-contained, some feel inspired. Others feel challenged. A few will test you quietly, searching for cracks. Some will try to humble you, as if your growth is arrogance. Some will compliment you while subtly hoping you shrink back into familiarity. Not because they hate you, but because your evolution disrupts their comfort. Take that as confirmation. When your presence unsettles complacency, resistance is natural. Growth highlights stagnation. Discipline exposes disorder. Your stability becomes a mirror. And not everyone enjoys what they see reflected, but you don't react emotionally anymore. You observe, you decide, you move deliberately. You no longer waste energy proving your strength through confrontation. You don't need to dominate conversations or win every disagreement. You let patterns reveal themselves. You let behavior speak. Strength isn't domination. It isn't intimidation. It isn't volume. It's stability under pressure. It's the ability to remain centered when tested, to stay composed when misunderstood, to maintain direction when distracted. That composure carries responsibility. Because once you know your power, you also understand its impact, and you wield it carefully. What they admire now is only a phase. The composure, the restraint, the depth in your eyes. That's not the peak, it's the foundation. Your awareness is still expanding. Each experience sharpens it. Each challenge refines it. You're not collecting reactions anymore. You're collecting understanding. Your discipline is compounding. The small decisions you make daily, to stay focused, to stay measured, to stay intentional, are stacking quietly. Results may look subtle now, but over time they become undeniable. Your silence is becoming sharper, not empty, not passive, precise. You speak less, but when you do, it carries weight. You move less impulsively, but when you act, it's calculated. You are not peaking, you are refining. Imagine yourself 5 years from now, calmer. Not because life is easier, but because you are steadier, wealthier, not just financially, but in wisdom. Less reactive, more strategic, more selective, more at peace with solitude. The transformation isn't loud, it doesn't need to be announced. It unfolds in habits, in perspective, in standards that quietly rise. While others chase quick validation, you're building long-term authority within yourself. This evolution doesn't depend on applause. It's inevitable because you've already proven something most never do. You continue. You don't chase recognition anymore. If they see it, they see it. If they don't, you continue anyway. You've outgrown the need to correct every misunderstanding or clarify every assumption. Power doesn't rush to defend itself. You don't perform strength. You don't exaggerate wisdom. You don't demand acknowledgement. You build in silence. You improve in private. You let results speak in rooms you're not even in. They admire your strength and wisdom because it's rare, not loud, not theatrical. Rare and rare things don't beg to be seen. They are noticed. You endured the pressure that was meant to bend you. You adapted when comfort was no longer an option. You refined yourself when others distracted themselves. And now you move differently, silently, intentionally, unshaken. Let them admire from a distance. You're not here to impress. You're here to evolve.